The easiest way to hear proper French when you don't live in France and you don't yet have French friends is to rely on TV shows and movies. The only problem is you don't understand a thing.
Luminette rouge and soufflet petit et fierte du pont grenier.
I don't understand a thing. I try really hard and I'm still stuck. And this is the circle, it just keeps going. How do you get out of this loop? I had TV5 Monde, this French TV channel, back when I was in India, and tried as I might, after 100 tries, I still couldn't understand what they're trying to say. This was the biggest hurdle for me when learning French. Compared to any other language, French has this notorious difficulty with hearing. It's because they don't pronounce all the letters they write down and they have so many contractions. By contrast, my Dutch today is somewhere near the A1 level when my French is fluent. But why can I successfully guess an unknown Dutch word, but I still can't guess an unknown French word? Again, my French is pretty good today. I can conduct interviews and stuff. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I broke that loop and how you can do the same. I'll share with you how I collected the little things I learned over this time. And once you have this material, how you can combat the forgetting curve. Because the forgetting curve is coming. No matter what you do, you're going to forget what you learned. To begin with my bulletproof technique, pick a TV show or a movie that you like. I went with Intouchables back in the day. This was just a leap of faith and I ended up loving it. If you're into horror for whatever reason, then go into that route. As long as you're speaking proper French in the movie, you're good. But if you're a little clueless, here are a couple of suggestions that you can start with. So how I like to go about this is to watch the whole thing with English subtitles just so that you get the plot. You read the plot online and really learn the story so that you know what's happening throughout the movie. Once you know the facts of what happened in the story, then replace it with French subtitles and watch that one time. This movie is about, how many minutes is it? This is a 2-hour movie. I'm sorry, it's going to take you a hot second. But honestly, watching a movie on a screen is so much more fun than sitting down with the books. Once you watch it once with the French subtitles, I think you should be good. Now when you're having lunch or you have 20 minutes to kill, just fire up some random part of the movie and just watch it without any subtitles to really work your hearing comprehension. The most important thing about this exercise is that you don't change the episode or the movie every now and then. Just watch this a couple of times until you get all the phrases and all the words in this movie. This is my unfair advantage. When it comes to learning French back in the day, I didn't get bored watching the same thing over and over again. Repetition is really important. Don't promote too fast. And it may feel like a mountain in front of you when you watch this movie or this TV show and you feel all I know to do is this movie. And my regular hearing when I go to a bakery or something in France is going to be useless. Honestly, trust the process. It's going to build up in no time. You need about 300-400 words for an everyday conversation. Once you get the phrases in this movie well, you start guessing properly, correctly the other phrases in other contexts which use the same words or words. I'm telling you, just trust the process, stick with it, it's gonna work. Every time you hear something that you can't really understand, turn the subtitles back on and see what they said. The problem with subtitles, at least on Netflix, is they don't write exactly what they said. They write a shorter version so that you can read fast. Back in the day, I had a couple of SRT files and I would see which one really works with Les Intouchables. If you're not able to note down exactly what they said in French because the words don't match, then note down what they are saying in the grand scheme of things. Think of it like this: a 2-year-old child in France who doesn't have subtitles for his parents is forced to listen to it, and one day or the other he ends up understanding his parents. So stick with the process, it's definitely going to work. This one aspect of French makes it really hard to keep with the French learning journey. Master this one thing and you'll see how much easier the whole French learning thing gets for you. You're in the capture phase right now, so just note down the stuff that you don't completely understand. I saw a movie on Netflix lately which had a lot of old French words. I didn't know most of these words and expressions because we don't use them in France today. I was by myself watching this at home, so I would just pause it and note it down on my phone. So here's how I did it for this specific movie, Cyrano, My Love. When I was watching the movie itself, I just googled each phrase that I didn't understand and I had this backlog of Google Chrome tabs on my phone. Now my experience with French has been that you can't just make one Google search to learn a French word. It's far more nuanced than that, and it is never a one-to-one mapping for you data scientist nerds. Knowing that French has this thing, I plan a study day like today to go through this again, and what I was doing on Google Chrome back in the day was just capturing all these things that I didn't know. Now when I fire up my computer, I have all of these tabs open on my computer, #Chrome for life. Now I look up each word or phrase or expression to see what they exactly mean. I see how they are used just so that I understand how I could reuse this word or expression. I saw this phrase in a movie where they said elle est mutée, and I wondered what was mutée. Does it mean that she's mute and she can't speak, or does it mean that she's a mutation? Like, I just wrote that down because that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I wrote that thing down. Then when you make a couple of Google searches, you realize that's not what what it's supposed to mean. I finish in style with the Feynman technique. I pretend that I'm a French teacher and I write a little passage about the word or the expression for my student. I used to do this English back in the day, but with time my French got better, so I just write this in French now. Now when I hear this word the next time, although it's smooshed between other French words, I understand exactly what it means. I have this entire list on my phone as well. So when I just fire it up and I go through this list, I realize which words I've practiced once in the past. I've noted down what exactly they mean, but I've forgotten it and I don't use it in my everyday life anymore. To solve that problem, I use this technique called spaced repetition and active recall. My weapon of choice has been Anki Droid. So I just fire up Anki Droid on my computer and I've made a whole video on how I use it as well. And I just add in each word with the front and the back. The French is in the front and the English is in the back. So I can just practice when I'm on my metro. Flashcards work. For vocabulary building, it's really the best exercise. That's how I did it. A couple of you have asked me for my Anki deck, and trust me, you don't want all of these 700 words. You're going to be overwhelmed and you're not going to use any of it. I can't emphasize this enough. If you get bored of this movie or this TV show and move on to the next one, you won't absorb as much as you could from this first one. Just stick to one. If you want my suggestion, I would say make your own list yourself. That's the best way to learn. But if you're a little lazy and you want to use my deck, I can share with you my Intouchables deck if you're going to watch the Intouchables movie. I've had some trouble putting it on my website in the past, but I'm going to try again today. If you don't have the money to buy the deck, trust me, you're better off doing it yourself. Just get the movie and write this thing down on a piece of paper. Eventually put it on Anki Droid and it's gonna work. Alongside the hearing comprehension, the other two difficult pillars when it comes to learning French has to do with grammar and with pronunciation. Grammar has all of those notorious bad boys like the verb conjugation and the le, la, le. And when it comes to pronunciation, making French sounds is really, really hard. On your French learning journey, what are you struggling with? I'm curious to know so that I can make a video for you. Let me know in the comments and I'll see you guys next week. Keep learning your French. T'es pas très loin, tu peux le faire.